Hey, good afternoon. It's Pete from FigLife.com. And today it's September 12th here in Northern Virginia. And I'm going to do a quick update on this fig here called Verdolino. And I did a video on Verdolino way back at the beginning of the season. If I remember correctly, it was one of the first figs, well, maybe not one of the first figs to ripen, but it ripened pretty early in the season. And Verdolino is actually known as being one of the earliest figs. This is the first year I'm growing it, so I would expect it to ripen a little bit later for me than it would normally, just because it's a first-year tree. And when I first picked it, it's a little bit, when you have a new variety, you got to kind of learn when to pick the variety, and a lot of times it's just trial and error at first, in understanding when is this fig ripe. And this fig is one that doesn't really change color when it ripens, and it doesn't swell a lot. It swells a little bit, but not a lot. And so at first it was kind of tricky to figure out when this was ripe, but what it does is when it's growing, it'll be sticking out like from the tree like this. It has a pretty long stem, and then as it ripens, it'll droop down until it gets really droopy. And that's how you can tell that this fig is ripe, when it's really drooping down. And so I've had a bunch of these now. I didn't take videos of these other ripe figs, me eating the figs. I would just eat them, imagine that. But I've had some really good ones. The first one that I had, the first Verdolino I had, or one of the first that I recorded, just was not quite as ripe as some of these other ones I've had later. And maybe the tree, being a little more mature now, being, most of the way through the season, maybe the figs are a little bit better too. I'm not really sure. But in any case, they're definitely tasting better, and they're actually tasting really good. And they have a sweet flavor that is, I guess you call it berry, but it almost tastes a little bit like watermelon to me. It has a really nice flavor, and I like it a lot. When I'm enjoying a nice ripe Verdolino, it's very good. So this may be one here that's well ripened. Sorry, I got some sweat dripping down my eyes. This may be one here that's pretty well ripened. It has a little bit of whoa, almost lost my balance. A little bit of honey there dripping down from the eye. That's kind of, it looks like it's hardened up a little bit. Let me cut this open. See what the inside looks like. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. That looks good. See if I can get a picture in the sun. There we go. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? So both of these look good. It's hard to get a sunlight picture on this one. Anyway, these both look good. Let me go ahead and try this, and I'll see. Now this looks, this probably isn't the ripest one that I've had, but it does look well ripened. So let me go ahead and try this. Yeah, a really nice sweetness, and it's not like I'm not eating it thinking, oh, that's like eating a watermelon. That's not what I'm thinking as I'm eating it. But at the same time, it's not really maybe it's like a mix between like strawberry and watermelon, like somewhere in that spectrum. So maybe like hints of watermelon flavor with a berry. So, like if you had like a spectrum of flavor and it's watermelon and it's strawberry here, Verdolino's maybe somewhere in the center of that, but a really good flavor. Yeah, that's really good. So I think Verdolino shows a lot of promise because it tastes really good, and I'll say that eye is super tight. So I have had no problems at all with, well, of course I put organza bags on all my figs, but I have had no problems at all with bugs or spoilage or anything like that. And then it's supposed to be one of the earliest figs, and then it tastes great. So I think this is a variety that is really going to become more popular, and that a lot more people are going to grow, because when you have that combination of fig that that oh, and no splitting. I have no splitting at all either, right? So we have that combination of an early fig, no splitting, not having problems with bugs or whatever, and a great taste. I'm not, for a lot of growers, I mean, that checks all the boxes. So you know, Verdolino's been around for a little while, and I'm not sure why it hasn't caught on more, because to me it's better than a lot of these figs that East Coast growers are trying to grow. You know, and you know, maybe it doesn't have that. You know, I feel like sometimes people try to grow like the variety that 1 out of 20 figs is going to ripen and it's going to be great, and maybe you get one of those figs once a season. And to me, it's almost kind of a futile effort. You know, it's like, I don't know. I just don't get a lot out of that. Like, to me, I'd rather grow the tree that is going to be producing great figs time after time. And I think Vertolino is that. I think it's one that can produce really good tasting figs. That is, you know, then you can get a whole season's worth of figs off that tree. So I'm really excited about Verdolino. I think it's you know, it's a new variety that I'm trying this year, and I think it's one that that is going to be a good variety for a lot of different people. Hey everybody, Pete, FigLife.com, and I got another bubblegum fig here, and you know, this is such an interesting fig, such an unusual fig, that I wanted to go ahead and make sure I gave an update on this, if in fact I got you know, one that was more ripe, because it had such an unusual flavor, but it wasn't, in my opinion, a great flavor. It was just unusual, but it has the potential to be really great if some of that taste that I didn't like kind of turned into something else that I did like. So I want to go ahead and do an update on this, and so it's looking pretty good. That's probably at least as good as the last one I had, in terms of looks. Probably a little bit better. I'm going to cut this up into quarters here. Some people have said this has a like a bubblegum and cotton candy flavor. For me, it was bubblegum and something else. I wouldn't necessarily call it cotton candy. And the something else was not all that great of a flavor, but you know, that could have been because it was, you know, it may be that you need to make sure this is fully ripe, otherwise it has this weird flavor to it. So I'll try this again here. This is another bubblegum fig. Okay, I'm definitely tasting the bubblegum again. Yeah, I'm definitely tasting the bubblegum. And in fact, the flavor is a little bit better. It's a little bit not so much of that weird flavor. And maybe that weird flavor was actually kind of cotton, sort of like a cotton candy sort of aftertaste to it. Which, if you think about that, bubblegum and cotton candy together, like, that's a little weird. I don't know. But definitely more sweetness on this one than on the last one. So it's more of like it's got a sweeter sort of bubblegum taste. Before there was a little bit of bubblegum flavor, but it wasn't as sweet as maybe you'd like. This is definitely a little sweeter. So this is a better taste than the last one for sure. Yeah, it's like a sweet bubblegum flavor. I wouldn't say it's exactly like having like chewing gum in your mouth, because it's a little, there's just a little bit of like, at the very end, just a little bit of like bitterness, I think is what it is. And I think that's what was more prominent in the last one, was the bitterness. And it kind of was like, it's just something off about that. And this time there's more sweetness. It's a smoother sort of taste. And so I think a lot of that, some of that bitterness that was there is not there anymore with the more fully ripe fig. And it's a sweeter fig. There's still that bubblegum flavor there. But there is a little bit of bitterness there at the end, which you know, it's like, okay. You know, that's not the most pleasant aftertaste. It's not bad at all. I mean, and the thing is, it's a small fig, so it's not like I'm munching down on a giant fig or anything. So you know, it's a really interesting flavor, and you know, for a little sort of for a little fig that's kind of unusual. You know, if that's what you're looking for, an unusual, a fig with an unusual flavor, sort of like doesn't fit in with all the other figs. I mean, this definitely is that. There's no other fig that I have, or that I've even tasted, that has this weird sort of bubblegum-like flavor. So, yeah. Definitely better than the last one. Still not my favorite taste. But it is, like I said, it is something where if you're just looking for something different, something besides your typical berry fig or honey fig or whatever, it is definitely that. It is definitely different. And so, you know, it's worth trying, I think, for a lot of those folks that are just looking for something different. Yeah. Overall, I'd say okay taste, okay flavor, but you know, maybe there's different scales that you work off of, and like if one scale is like enjoyable taste, it's like middle of the road. But if another scale is like novelty or you know, unique taste and unique flavor, I mean, this is up there. This is like a 10 out of 10, right? In terms of like novelty flavor or unique flavor or something like that, because it is definitely a unique, sort of unusual flavor. It's not my favorite fig flavor, but it is kind of a bubblegum flavor. And this one did taste better than the last one, which I think the last one had, I think it was the bitterness. I think the last one had a little more bitterness to it. This one still had a little bit of that at the very end, but not as bad as the last one. So yeah, that was Bubblegum update. I'm not sure how many more bubblegum figs I'll get off the tree. You know, we're approaching the last few weeks of the season here, so I may get a couple more. It's hard to say, but anyway. Hey everybody, it's Pete, FigLife.com, and I just want to do another update on this fig I've been tracking here. I feel like I've been doing videos on all the different figs I've gotten off this tree, because I've only gotten a few, but I think I've done a video on each one. It's such an interesting fig. First of all, look at the shape of this. I mean, how many figs do you see with a shape like this? Isn't that ridiculous? Look at the neck on this thing. And then, you know, it's almost like a ball down here, and then the neck has the yellow color, whereas the rest of the fig has a purple color. Just such an unusual, unique look to this fig. And so this is La Costa Unknown is the name I bought it under, but it's also I think even more commonly called La Costa Jewel Unknown. But either way, it's the same variety. So La Costa Unknown. This one I think is the ripest one I've picked so far. So I'm excited to try this, because the last one I picked, I showed it in one of my like season review videos. I can't remember, like a mid-season review maybe or something. I can't remember which one it was, but and I cut it open, and I was really just kind of shocked by how good it looked on the inside. It was this really dark, really nice looking berry interior, and so I was really impressed, and I tried it, and it was good. It was good, although not quite as good as it looked. But it still was good, and I was really impressed by this fig, which you know, I bought this. It's kind of unknown, kind of untested, not unknown, but kind of untested outside of California. There was reports of it tasting good in California, but it wasn't really. A lot of times those figs that have only been tasted in California, you try them outside of California and they just don't taste good because they're not caprified, and that can really have a big impact on the taste. But this one, I was surprised at the quality of this fig outside of California without being caprified. Really unexpected. A lot of times with those figs, I'm just hoping, you know, it'll produce fruit. I'm just hoping it's common and it'll produce fruit without the fig wasp. So to get one that not only produces fruit, but then has like a really nice flavor to it, a really nice look to it, and a lot of great qualities about it, that's awesome when you can find that. So speaking of good qualities, you know, this thing seems to ripen really well. I haven't had problems with dropping. I haven't had problems with spoilage. I haven't had problems with bugs. It's got a little bit of an open eye, but not bad. And I put organza pegs on it, so that helps protect. And then this one is kind of starting to shrivel up a little bit. The previous ones looked really good, but I wanted to see what would happen if I kind of let it ripen a little bit more. What would happen if I really let it get really ripe? So this is going to be the ripest one that I've had so far. So let's see what it looks like on the inside. Cut the giant top off. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? That looks pretty good. Wow. Well, actually, you know what? I kind of feel like it looks like a little bit of spoilage right there in the center. That's unfortunate if that's what that is. Yeah, I think there's just a little bit of spoilage in there. And that's too bad, because that looked really good. There we go. That looked really good. Cut it up in quarters. So that's disappointing that, you know, a lot of people who don't grow in this climate, they think you can just leave the figs on and they'll ripen more and more and they'll just taste better and better. But the reality is, you reach a point of kind of perfect, as good as it's going to get. You reach a point of as good as it's going to get, and then after that, it spoils. And I'm concerned I'm a little bit on the spoiled side for this one right here. Well, let me try it. Yeah, no, that's definitely spoiled. That's a bummer. Well, let me try this one. Yeah, it's spoiled. Bummer. All right, good afternoon. It's September 12th, and I've got another La Costa Jewel Unknown here. I picked one of these a couple days ago, and I wanted to leave it on to let it try to ripen a little more, and it ended up spoiling because I left it on too long, which is too bad. So I got another one here, and this time I picked it a little bit earlier to, again, try to get another taste of this fig without letting it spoil. And look at that. So that's looking pretty good. That's looking good, but not looking spoiled. So that's good news. Kind of an interesting shape to this one. It's almost like look at that. It looks like a heart, doesn't it? I think that's kind of an unusual shape. I don't think it normally has that shape. But this is looking pretty good. And I mentioned a few days ago in the video that this is one that has been surprisingly good. You know, this is a variety that I was just hoping would be common, and it's ended up not only being common, but having a really nice look to it and a good taste to it as well. So surprisingly good flavor from this fig LSU Jewel. or no wait, what is it? La Costa, that's LSD Jewel. What is that talking about? La Costa Unknown or La Costa Jewel Unknown. Let me go ahead and try this. A really nice flavor. A pretty strong berry flavor with like a moderate level of sweetness. So that was good. Yeah, this is again the variety that has kind of surprised me. Kind of came out of nowhere, and just another one of those seedlings that's like, oh, you know, another California seedling. It looks good, but don't know how it tastes outside of California. But this is one I can say actually does taste good outside of California. And the only problem I've had with this fig, in terms of ripening it, has been that one the other day where I let it sit too long on the tree and it ended up spoiling. But it seems to ripen fairly easily otherwise. And the skin is like, look at this, the skin is just like sloughing off. Let me just take the skin off of that. Yeah, really good flavor there. So La Costa Jewel Unknown continuing to taste really good for me here in Northern Virginia. All right, good afternoon. It's Pete, FigLife.com. And I'm gonna try another La Bourgeoisie fig. It's September 12th. Because the last one I tried I know wasn't quite as ripe as I wanted, so I can try this again. This one's a little more well ripened. See that? So this may taste pretty good. Still not probably perfectly ripe, but pretty close to being fully ripe. Real meaty fig. You know, it really retains its shape once it's cut open. Yeah, kind of a light sweetness, moderate berry. I think just being in the shade where it is just preventing it from getting that really nice sweetness that it should have. So I can't blame the fig for that, you know. Kind of growing it in the shade. So, got a La Bourgeoisie. Hey, good afternoon. It's Pete, FigLife.com, and today I'm taking another look at the Edith's Raspberry Jam Fig. I looked at this. I've recorded a video on this just a few days ago, I think it was, and I tried this. It had a good flavor. Did I say strawberry jam or raspberry jam? I can't remember what I said. The name of this fig is Edith's Raspberry Jam, but the flavor that I got out of it a few days ago was a strawberry-like flavor. Not really a lot of raspberry. This one is a little more ripe. It's pretty soft. I wouldn't want to let it get too much softer because you know, these figs. You know, some people think you just leave figs on the tree and they'll just continue ripening and shrivel up and turn better and better and better. But that's, for most figs, that's not true in this climate. For most figs, they'll reach a point of kind of perfect ripeness, and then after that, they just spoil. So I didn't really want to leave this on too much longer because I feel like it's getting about to the point where it's probably pretty close to being perfectly ripe. But of course, I won't know until I cut it open and try it. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. Yeah, so this is looking, I think, better than the last one that I looked at. It has a nice juicy sort of color on the inside. A juicy color. Is that I wonder if that's on the Crayola crayon box, you know? Oh, this is the juice. This color is juicy. A nice juicy look to it, and a nice red sort of color to it. So this probably will taste better than the one I had the other day, because it's probably a little more ripe. It looks really good, And the last one I tried tasted really good. It wasn't really a raspberry flavor for me. But I'll try this one. This one looks to be well ripened. Yeah, really nice flavor. Sweet berry flavor. Nice and soft. You know, I think pretty well ripened. Really sweet. That piece I just ate had a real nice sweetness to it. Yeah, really sweet. Really nice flavor. Again, though, I don't taste raspberry. For me, this is more strawberry. You know, berry oftentimes is kind of like, it's not a pure strawberry or a pure like something else. So I wouldn't say it's like a pure strawberry taste, but the taste it most closely resembles to me is a strawberry taste. Really tasty. I mean, that's a really tasty fig. But raspberry, you know, this being uncaprified, it's probably not going to taste exactly the same as what you get with the caprified version of this fig. So caprified, this may very well have a strong raspberry flavor. I'm not sure. But here for me, the Edith's raspberry jam has a really nice sweet berry flavor, but not really a raspberry flavor. So and you know, I've gotten some comments on the videos about people saying, well, you know, if you do this, you might get the flavor you want, or da da da. I really don't want a certain flavor. I'm just trying figs, and they taste like what they taste like, and if they taste good, that's great. I don't really have I don't really want it to taste like a certain thing. I would like it to taste good, so whatever it tastes, you know, if it could taste good, that's great. But anyway, yeah, so that was Edith's raspberry jam. Hey, it's Pete from FigLife.com, and today I'm going to look at another Galicia Negra fig. Look at this one. Look how shriveled this is. This is pretty well ripened. Let me see if I can get that in the sun there. So it's got like shriveling on it, so that could mean that this is kind of like well ripened and even like drying on the tree a little bit, or it could mean that this is spoiled. I'm not sure which it'll be, but it may also mean that it has a really dark interior, which is kind of a neat thing with this fig, that it gets that really dark interior. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like when I cut it open. It may be garbage, or it may be just a wonderful look to it, so we'll see. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good actually. So you can see that right there. Nice dark interior. Let me get a photo of that. All right, and I should mention it's September 12th. So I think I did a video on this a few days back. I think it was last week sometime. But this looks to be a very well ripened Galicia Negra tree, Galicia Negra fig, and so this may actually be maybe the best tasting Galicia Negra fig I've ever had. Just looking at how well ripened it looks. So let me go ahead and try this. Wow. Yeah, that was in fact. That's the best tasting Galicia Negra fig I've ever had. Just so sweet, just really sweet. The skin's got kind of a chewy texture to it, and it's got this this flavor that's, I guess you'd call it berry, but it almost has like, it almost hints of like I don't want to say it, like grape, like grape, and maybe I'm being influenced by the fact that it's a purple pulp. I don't know. But a really nice taste. Wow. That's just really, really good. Yeah, just really sweet, chewy skin. Tremendous taste. So this is I think my second year with Galicia Negra, I think. So really just, honestly, I'm surprised at how good this is. This is a really good tasting fig, and it's not often that I can get the figs to sort of shrivel like this one is. A lot of times they'll just spoil, but this is, and look how, I mean, it's almost like a gelatinous sort of pulp to it on the inside there, and it's like cutting into a jelly candy almost. Wow. Yeah, really impressed by the flavor of Galicia Negra there. That's actually the best tasting Galicia Negra fig I've ever had. Really good. Really good. Surprised at how good that taste is. All right, I'm trying some more Eaubonne figs again today. These things are just really ripening well for me. I'm getting a bunch of them off this tree. One of my most productive first year trees that I have, maybe the most. You know, normally a first year tree, I'm just happy to get a couple fruits off of it. I'm just trying to kind of evaluate it. But for Eaubonne, I'm just getting a bunch of really tasty figs. And this is like my third time I've had like 6 figs to try. Some more here. This one's pretty well ripened. Yeah, and I'm getting some of that really sweet honey taste that I've had before. I think this is my last one here. A lot of syrup on this one. Pretty good. Honestly, not quite as good as the last set that I had. Not sure why. It might be that they're not getting as much sun as they used to, because the way my yard is, it's kind of shaded that portion a little bit more now. It's later in the season. We're approaching fall, approaching first day of fall here in a couple weeks. So, all right.